My sister destroyed my life in a $3,000 designer wedding dress. What she didn't know was that she'd just handed me the greatest gift of my life. Let me tell you how the worst day of my existence became the best thing that ever happened to me, and how I discovered that the man I thought I loved was planning to kill me. 6 months ago, I walked into my childhood home to surprise my fiance, David, with dinner reservations at that ridiculously expensive restaurant he'd been dropping hints about. Instead, I got the surprise of my life. There was my baby sister, Maya, 24 years old and supposedly mature enough to know better, wearing my custom wedding dress and making out with my fiance on the couch where I used to watch Saturday morning cartoons. The dress. God, that dress. 2 years of my life went into perfecting it with Mrs. Chen, the seamstress who'd worked with my grandmother Rosa. Vintage lace from Grandma's 1950s gown, restructured with modern lines that would make even the most bitter ex-girlfriend admit I looked stunning. My something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, all rolled into one perfect piece of art. And there was Maya, filling it out in all the wrong places, her dark hair spilling over the delicate beadwork while David's hands roamed places they had no business being. Elena! Maya jumped up, the dress train tangling around her legs. This isn't what it looks like. Really? I crossed my arms, my architect's eye automatically cataloging the scene. Candles on the coffee table, wine glasses, her bra thrown over the back of Dad's old recliner. Because it looks like my sister is wearing my wedding dress while screwing my fiancé. David had the audacity to straighten his tie. Elena, sweetheart, let me explain. Explain what exactly? That you're practicing for our wedding night with my understudy? Maya's face crumpled. I wanted to know what it felt like to be the chosen one for once. Oh, that hit right where it was supposed to hurt. Maya had always been the family screw-up, the one who dropped out of college, who couldn't keep a job, who still lived with our parents at 24. And me, I was the successful one, the architect with my own firm, the one who'd pulled herself up by her designer bootstraps after our parents lost everything in the recession. So you chose my fiancé and my wedding dress to explore that feeling? I asked. David stepped forward, his politician's smile sliding into place. Elena, she seduced me. You know how Maya gets when she's been drinking, but you're still the one I want to marry. I stared at him, really stared. 3 years together, and I was just now noticing how his eyes never quite met mine when he lied. How he always had an excuse ready, perfectly polished like his shoes. Get out of my dress, I told Maya. Elena, please, get out of my dress. Maya scrambled toward the bathroom, the train of my grandmother's lace trailing behind her like a wounded animal. David reached for me, but I stepped back. Don't, I said quietly. Just don't. That should have been the end of it. Breakup, heartbreak, move on. But life, as it turns out, had much bigger plans for me. I went back to Maya's purse to grab my car keys. I'd thrown them in there when I arrived, expecting to ride with David to dinner. That's when I saw it. A pregnancy test, tucked between her wallet and a pack of gum. Positive. My hands shook as I picked it up. Maya had been dating some guy from her yoga class, but this timeline didn't add up. I heard her in the bathroom, struggling with the dress zipper, and my phone buzzed with a text. From David. Meet me at the usual place in an hour. We need to talk about Maya. I was about to respond when I heard Maya's voice from the bathroom, muffled but clear enough. Don't worry, David. Once we get rid of Elena, the inheritance will be ours. The world tilted. I pressed myself against the wall, phone recording without conscious thought. The lithium is working, Maya continued, obviously on speakerphone. She's been so depressed and anxious lately. When she dies, it'll look like suicide. Then you and I can be together, and the $50 million from Grandma Rosa's trust will be mine. David's voice came through the phone. Our baby deserves that money, Maya. Elena's just been a means to an end. I stopped breathing. Lithium, depression, $50 million, my recent anxiety attacks. The way I'd been feeling foggy and tired. The depression that had hit me out of nowhere 3 months ago, right when David started making me those special smoothies every morning. They weren't just betraying me. They were trying to kill me. 3 days later, I was hiding in my downtown loft, living on coffee and paranoia, when someone knocked on my door. I'd been expecting Maya or David, but definitely not the tall Asian guy in the expensive suit holding a badge. Miss Rodriguez, I'm Marcus Chen, forensic accountant. I need to talk to you about David Hartwell. I kept the chain lock on. I don't know anyone by that name. Your fiance, though I suspect he's given you a different last name. My blood went cold. Who are you? Someone who's been investigating David's previous relationships. May I come in? I think you're in danger. Against every instinct screaming at me to slam the door, I let him in. Marcus Chen was probably 35, with sharp eyes, and the kind of calm that comes from seeing too much. He sat on my couch like he'd been invited to tea. David Hartwell is a serial killer, he said without preamble. He targets wealthy women, marries them, then eliminates them for their money. You're number 4. I laughed, actually laughed. Okay, this is insane. David's not a killer, he's just a cheating asshole. Marcus pulled out a tablet, swiping through photos. Jennifer Walsh died in a car accident 6 months after inheriting $2 million from her father. Suicide, they said, but her family hired me to investigate. Rebecca Martinez fell down the stairs after her grandmother left her a trust fund. And Sarah Kim, drug overdose right after her divorce settlement came through. Each photo showed a woman who looked disturbingly like me. Dark hair, olive skin, successful career, family money. They all died within a year of meeting David, Marcus continued, and they all showed signs of lithium poisoning before their deaths. The coffee mug slipped from my hands, shattering on the hardwood floor. How do you know about the lithium? Because I've been watching you for 3 months. Your behavior patterns, your medical symptoms, the way David controls your food and drink intake. He's been poisoning you slowly, making you appear unstable and suicidal. I sank into my chair. Maya's not his accomplice, she's his next victim. Exactly. The pregnancy makes her a loose end. He'll kill her after he kills you. Probably make it look like a murder-suicide. Grieving sister couldn't live with what she'd done. But why are you telling me this? Why not just arrest him? Marcus leaned forward, and for the first time, his professional mask slipped. Because I need him to confess. The other deaths look like accidents. I need proof, and I need your help to get it. You want me to go back to him? While he's actively poisoning me? I want you to go back to him while I keep you alive. I have antidotes, medical support, backup. But Elena? He paused, running a hand through his hair. I have to be honest with you. I've been watching you for months, and somewhere along the way, this stopped being just a case for me. I stared at him. Are you seriously hitting on me while telling me my fiancé is a serial killer? I'm seriously telling you that I've fallen in love with a woman who's brilliant enough to design buildings that could stand for centuries, brave enough to risk everything for a sister who betrayed her, and strong enough to survive 3 months of poisoning without breaking. The silence stretched between us. Finally, I said, this is the weirdest meet-cute in history. Is that a yes? That's a let's keep me alive first and discuss your stalker crush later. Marcus smiled, really smiled, for the first time since he'd walked in. Deal. Turns out, going undercover while your fiancé slowly murders you is exactly as fun as it sounds. Marcus had me on a cocktail of medications that would neutralize the lithium, but I still had to drink David's smoothies to avoid suspicion. Every morning became a delicate dance of survival. Good morning, beautiful, David would say, handing me the glass of poison with a kiss. Feeling better today? Much better, I'd lie, forcing myself to smile while my skin crawled. The wire Marcus had me wearing was state-of-the-art, invisible even to someone looking for it. The hardest part wasn't the danger. It was pretending to forgive Maya. I'm so sorry, she sobbed when I showed up at my parents' house, a week after catching them together. I don't know what came over me. I was jealous and stupid, and... It's okay, I said, hugging her while she cried into my shoulder. We're sisters. We'll get through this. She felt so small in my arms, and I realized David had been manipulating her as expertly as he'd been manipulating me. Maya had always been insecure, always felt like she was living in my shadow. He'd weaponized that against both of us. I need to tell you something, Maya whispered. I'm pregnant. I pulled back, arranging my face into surprise. What? Maya, that's whose is it? The guy from yoga class. At least I think so. The timing is. She trailed off, looking sick. What do you mean? David and I. It happened more than once. I know that's awful, but Elena, I think I love him. My heart broke for her. She had no idea she was carrying a serial killer's baby. No idea that her love was planning to murder her. Does David know about the baby? I asked carefully. Yes, he wants me to get rid of it. Says it would complicate things with you. What do you want to do? I want to keep it. I want to be a mom, but I can't do it alone. And if David doesn't want me. Maya, I took her hands. I want you to promise me something. Whatever happens between David and me, whatever you decide about the baby, you'll talk to me first. Okay? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I love you, Elena. I know I screwed up, but I love you. I love you too, and I meant it. Even knowing what she'd done, even knowing she'd been planning to help kill me, I loved my stupid, vulnerable, easily manipulated sister. That night, Marcus met me at our usual spot, a 24-hour diner on the outskirts of town where the coffee was terrible and the security cameras had been broken for months. How are you holding up? He asked, sliding into the booth across from me. I'm pretending to reconcile with a serial killer while my sister carries his baby and thinks she's in love with him. How do you think I'm holding up? Marcus reached across the table, covering my hand with his. You're doing great, better than great. You're saving lives. Am I? Because it feels like I'm drowning. Elena, David's organization, it's bigger than just him. We've identified at least 6 other men operating the same way. If we don't stop this now, dozens of women will die. His organization? I pulled my hand away. You didn't mention an organization. I'm mentioning it now. David's not working alone. He's part of a network that specializes in inheritance fraud. They've been watching your family for years. Years? Your grandmother Rosa was worth $50 million. That kind of money attracts attention. I stared at him. How long have you really been watching me, Marcus? He was quiet for a long moment. Longer than 3 months. How long? Since your grandmother died. She hired me. The diner suddenly felt too small, too hot. Grandma Rosa hired you to watch me? She suspected David from the beginning. Did some digging, found the pattern. She hired me to protect you, but she died before she could warn you directly. So this whole time, you've been... I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. You've been lying to me. Elena, wait, no. You said you fell in love with me by watching me, but you've been watching me for over a year. You're as much of a stalker as David is a killer. Marcus stood too, his face desperate. It's not like that. Yes, Rosa hired me, but Elena, everything I said about falling for you is true. I tried to stay professional, but watching you handle your business, the way you treated your employees, how you took care of Maya even when she didn't deserve it, I couldn't help myself. This is insane. All of this is insane. Your grandmother knew something like this would happen. She left you more than money, Elena. She left you protection. What are you talking about? Marcus pulled out his phone, showing me a photo of a document. Rosa's will has a clause you don't know about. If you marry someone who truly loves you, as determined by psychological evaluation, the inheritance doubles and goes into a trust for women's safety organizations. I stared at the phone screen. A psychological evaluation? She designed it herself. Rosa wasn't just wealthy, Elena. She was a codebreaker during the Cold War. She knew how to read people, how to design systems that couldn't be fooled. And you think you'd pass this evaluation? I think I'd die trying to protect you. I think I'd give up everything I own to keep you safe. I think I've been in love with you since the first time I saw you tell off a contractor for using substandard materials because people's lives depend on this building being perfect. Despite everything, I felt my heart skip. You saw that? I see everything about you, Elena. The way you organize your pencils by color because it makes you feel in control. How you always order your coffee exactly 3 minutes before you actually want it because you've timed the barista's speed. The way you hum when you're designing something beautiful. That's not love, Marcus. That's surveillance. No, he said quietly. Surveillance is what I do for work. Love is what I do when I watch you exist in the world and wish I could be part of it. I sat back down, my head spinning. This is the most messed up love story in history. But it's our messed up love story. If we survive it. Marcus reached for my hand again, and this time I didn't pull away. We're going to survive it, all of us. You, me, Maya, even her baby. How can you be so sure? Because your grandmother didn't just leave you money and a bodyguard, Elena. She left you something else. The dress? I stared at Marcus across my kitchen table, where he'd spread out what looked like technical blueprints. You're telling me my wedding dress is some kind of spy gadget? Your grandmother was a code breaker and intelligence operative. She had this dress specially made in 1953 with hidden compartments for microfilm and recording equipment. When she passed it down to you, she had it updated with modern technology. I picked up one of the blueprints, recognizing the familiar silhouette. Mrs. Chen knew about this? Mrs. Chen was Rosa's handler during the Cold War. She's been maintaining the dress for 60 years. And you didn't think to mention this earlier? I was hoping we wouldn't need it. The dress is complicated. Complicated how? Marcus pointed to a section of the blueprint. It's not just recording equipment. Rosa designed it as a complete surveillance and communication system. GPS tracking, satellite uplink, encrypted data transmission. When Maya wore it last week, she unknowingly activated systems that have been dormant for decades. I felt the blood drain from my face. What kind of systems? The kind that record everything within a 50-foot radius and transmit it directly to a secure server. Marcus pulled out his laptop, typing rapidly. Elena, we have 8 hours of high-definition video and audio of David discussing his plans. 8 hours? He stayed after you left. Apparently, he and Maya had a lot to celebrate. Marcus turned the laptop toward me, and I found myself watching security footage of my own living room. There was Maya, still in my dress, crying on the couch. And there was David, pacing back and forth, his mask of charm completely gone. Stop crying, David snapped on the recording. You did what you had to do. She's my sister, Maya sobbed. I can't believe I'm helping you kill her. Elena's been dead to you since the day you decided you wanted her life. Now you're going to have it. But the baby. The baby is mine, and it's going to inherit everything Elena worked for. $50 million, Maya. Think about what that means for our child. How can you be so calm about murder? David sat down next to her, his voice dropping to that soothing tone I knew so well. Because I've done this before. 3 times. Each time, I felt terrible at first. But then I realized I was freeing these women from their own misery. Jennifer was depressed, Rebecca was lonely, Sarah was addicted to pills. I gave them peace. And Elena? Elena is so busy trying to be perfect that she's forgotten how to be happy. The lithium will make her final weeks peaceful. She'll just drift away. I slammed the laptop shut, my hands shaking. I can't watch anymore. There's 8 hours of this, Elena. Detailed confessions, discussions of his previous murders, plans for yours and Maya's deaths. He even talks about the organization he works for. What organization? They call themselves the Inheritors. They target wealthy families, identify vulnerable women, then send in operatives like David. It's not just about the money. They're systematically eliminating certain bloodlines. Bloodlines? Families with old money, old secrets. Your grandmother wasn't just rich, Elena. She knew things. Government secrets, corporate corruption, international conspiracies. Rosa's generation of women were the real power behind the scenes, and someone wants them all dead. I leaned back in my chair, overwhelmed. So David wasn't just after my money. He was after my family's secrets, which you may or may not have access to. I don't know any government secrets, Marcus. No, but you have Rosa's house, her papers, her personal effects. You have the dress. You have resources these people want to control or destroy. What do? We use the dress. We get David to confess everything on camera. We expose the Inheritors, and we make sure Maya and her baby are safe. How? Marcus smiled grimly. We're going to have a wedding. Planning a fake wedding while your fiancé plots to murder you is surprisingly complex. There are so many moving pieces: the venue, the guest list, the part where you don't actually die. You look beautiful, Marcus said, adjusting the hidden camera in my bouquet. We were in the bridal suite at the Riverside Hotel, 30 minutes before the ceremony that would either save my life or end it. I look like I'm about to throw up. That's the appropriate look for a bride whose groom is a serial killer. I checked my reflection one more time. The dress was perfect. Rosa's vintage lace combined with modern cuts, exactly as I'd designed it. What I couldn't see was the sophisticated surveillance equipment woven into the fabric, or the GPS tracker in the train, or the satellite uplink disguised as decorative beading. Is Maya here? I asked. She's in the bathroom, having morning sickness. David's with her. And the FBI? Positioned as caterers, photographers, and wedding guests. We've got this covered, Elena. Do we? Because David's not stupid. If he suspects anything, he won't. He thinks he's in control. Men like David can't imagine that their victims might be smarter than they are. A knock on the door interrupted us. Elena, Maya's voice shaky and nervous. Can I come in? I opened the door to find my sister pale and trembling, David's hand possessively on her shoulder. He was in a tuxedo, playing the part of supportive brother-in-law perfectly. You look stunning, David said, kissing my cheek. I fought the urge to recoil. Are you ready for this? As ready as I'll ever be. Elena, Maya said quietly, I need to tell you something about the baby. Maya, no. David's grip tightened on her shoulder. David, let her talk, I said, touching his arm. We're family now. The baby. Maya looked between David and me, tears in her eyes. I'm scared, Elena. I'm scared about everything. What are you scared of, sweetheart? I'm scared that I'm not good enough to be a mother. I'm scared that I'll mess this up like I mess up everything else. And I'm scared that... She glanced at David. I'm scared that I don't know who the father really is. David's face went white. Maya, we've discussed this. No, David, you've told me what to think, but I can't stop wondering if maybe you're not the man I thought you were. What do you mean? I asked, even though I knew exactly what she meant. I mean that sometimes, when he thinks I'm not looking, David looks at me like... Maya shuddered. Like he hates me. Maya, that's ridiculous, David said, but his politician's smile was cracking. You're emotional because of the pregnancy. Am I? Or am I finally seeing clearly? I stepped between them. David, could you give us a minute? Sister stuff. Of course. He kissed Maya's forehead, but I saw the threat in his eyes. Don't be long. The ceremony starts soon. As soon as he left, Maya collapsed into my arms. Elena, I think I made a terrible mistake. What kind of mistake? I think David's been lying to me about everything. What do you mean? He told me you were fragile, that you'd been having emotional problems. He said the only way to help you was to make you think you were losing everything, so you'd be grateful when he stayed with you. I pulled back to look at her. He told you that? He said it was like tough love. But Elena, you're not fragile. You're the strongest person I know. And I realized that if David could lie to me about you, he could lie to me about anything. Maya, there's something I need to tell you. The door burst open. David stood there, no longer bothering with his charming mask. Behind him were two men I didn't recognize, both in suits, both carrying guns. Well, David said, isn't this touching? The Rodriguez sisters finally figuring it out. David, what's going on? Maya stepped in front of me protectively. What's going on, darling, is that your sister has been wearing a wire for the past 2 weeks, recording our private conversations and planning to have me arrested. My blood turned to ice. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? A forensic accountant named Marcus Chen asking questions about my previous girlfriends? Elena suddenly forgiving you and wanting to reconcile? The FBI agents pretending to be caterers? David laughed. I've been planning this for months. You've been reacting. David, please, Maya said. Elena's pregnant with your baby. You said you loved me. I said a lot of things, but Maya, sweetheart, you were never the target. You were just the weapon. Weapon. The sister who would betray Elena, drive her to suicide, and then conveniently die in a car accident after the grief became too much. Two birds, one stone. Maya's face crumpled. The baby. We'll be fine. I need an heir after all, but you've served your purpose. David nodded to one of his men who raised his gun toward Maya. Without thinking, I threw myself between them. No, David, stop. Elena, always the hero. David pulled out his own gun. Always trying to save everyone. It's what makes you so easy to predict. What do you want? What I've always wanted. Your money, your family's secrets, and your silence. In that order. I don't know any secrets. Maybe not, but you have Rosa's house, her papers, her contacts. You have access to information that certain people find inconvenient. What people? People who've been running this country from the shadows for decades. People who don't like loose ends. You're talking about the inheritors. David's eyebrows rose. Very good. Yes, the inheritors. And they've been very patient with your family's interference. Interference? Your grandmother knew things she shouldn't have known. She had connections she shouldn't have had. She was a threat. So you killed her too? Rosa died of natural causes. But her death started a clock, Elena, and now it's time for the Rodriguez family to disappear. There are FBI agents all over this building, David. You can't just shoot us. Can't I? Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to walk downstairs with me. You're going to marry me in front of all those FBI agents. You're going to sign the papers that transfer your inheritance to me, and then you're going to die in a tragic accident on your honeymoon. And Maya? Maya's going to have a breakdown at the ceremony. She's going to attack you with a knife, and I'm going to heroically try to save you, but tragically fail. Maya will be so overcome with guilt that she'll take her own life. You're insane. I'm thorough. Now, shall we go get married? The walk down the aisle was the longest of my life. David's gun pressed against my back, hidden beneath his jacket. Maya walked beside us, tears streaming down her face, one of David's men positioned behind her. The wedding guests, half FBI agents, half David's criminal associates, watched us with varying degrees of confusion and anticipation. Marcus stood at the altar, playing his role as wedding planner, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. We are gathered here today, the officiant began, to witness the union of Elena Rodriguez and David Hartwell. I barely heard the words. My attention was focused on Marcus, who was subtly gesturing toward the exits. David's people had them covered. Elena, the officiant continued, do you take David to be your lawfully wedded husband? I looked at David, at the gun hidden in his jacket, at Maya crying beside me. I need a moment. Elena, David warned quietly. I said I need a moment. I turned to face the assembled guests, my voice carrying across the room. Before I answer that question, I think everyone should know who they're really celebrating today. Elena, don't. David Hartwell is a serial killer. My voice rang clear and strong. He's murdered at least 3 women for their inheritance, and he's been slowly poisoning me for months. Gasps rippled through the crowd. David's hand moved toward his gun. Furthermore, I continued, he's part of an organization called the Inheritors that systematically targets wealthy families. They've been planning to kill me and my sister to cover up government secrets from the Cold War. Elena, that's enough! David pulled out his gun, pointing it at me. That's when all hell broke loose. The FBI agents revealed themselves, shouting orders and drawing weapons. David's men responded in kind. Maya screamed and dropped to the floor. Marcus vaulted over the altar, tackling one of the gunmen. Everyone down! Someone shouted, but I was already moving. I grabbed Maya's hand, pulling her behind the altar as bullets started flying. The wedding dress, Rosa's dress, flowed around us, and I could feel the technology woven into it humming with activity. Elena! Marcus crawled toward us, bleeding from a cut on his forehead. Are you hit? We're okay, Maya, are you... The baby, Maya gasped, clutching her stomach. Elena, something's wrong with the baby. David appeared around the altar, his gun trained on us. Touching family moment, but this ends now. David, please, I said, standing slowly. Just let Maya go. She's pregnant. She's innocent. Innocent? David laughed. Elena, your sister has been helping me plan your murder for months. She's been putting lithium in your coffee, monitoring your symptoms, reporting back to me about your mental state. I stared at Maya, who was sobbing on the floor. Is that true? I'm sorry, Maya whispered. I'm so sorry. He said it was to help you. He said you were sick and needed treatment. You've been poisoning me? I thought it was medicine. He said you were having a breakdown, that you'd hurt yourself if we didn't help you. David's gun swung between us. Enough talking. Elena, you're going to sign the inheritance papers, or I'm going to kill your sister and her baby right here. I'll sign, I said quickly. Just don't hurt them. Elena, no. It's okay, Maya. It's going to be okay. But it wasn't okay. As David handed me the papers, I saw Marcus creeping up behind him. I saw the FBI agents positioning themselves around the room. I saw Maya's face, pale and terrified, as she realized what she'd done. And I saw something else. The dress was recording everything, transmitting it live to law enforcement agencies around the world. Every word David said, every confession, every threat, it was all being broadcast in real time. There, I said, signing the papers, you have what you want. Not quite. David raised his gun. I still need you dead. David, wait. The shot was deafeningly loud in the small space behind the altar, but it wasn't David who fired. It was Maya. She'd grabbed a gun from one of the fallen men, and she'd shot David in the shoulder. He spun around, his own weapon flying across the floor. Maya! I lunged toward her as David dove for his gun. Marcus reached it first, kicking it away. FBI agents swarmed David, forcing him to the ground. The remaining criminals surrendered or were quickly subdued. It's over, Marcus said, pulling me into his arms. Elena, it's over. But Maya was on the floor, blood pooling beneath her. The stress and violence had triggered something, and she was losing the baby. Call an ambulance, I screamed, dropping to my knees beside her. Maya, stay with me. Elena, she whispered, gripping my hand. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't apologize. You saved my life. I almost got you killed. But you didn't. You saved me, Maya. You saved us both. The paramedics arrived, loading Maya onto a stretcher. As they wheeled her away, she looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Elena? Yeah, I love you. I love you too. 6 months later, I was sitting in the hospital cafeteria, watching Maya feed her daughter. The baby had survived, despite everything. She was tiny but perfect, with dark hair and Maya's stubborn chin. Have you decided on a name? I asked. Rosa, Maya said without hesitation. I want to name her Rosa. Grandma would have liked that. I hope so. I hope she would have forgiven me. Maya, you were manipulated by a professional killer. Grandma would have understood. Would she? Because I still can't believe how stupid I was. How could I not see what David was doing? I reached across the table and taking her hand. Because he was good at what he did. He'd been practicing for years, and because he used your insecurities against you? I betrayed you. You were lied to. There's a difference. Maya looked down at baby Rosa, who was sleeping peacefully in her arms. I still can't believe he's gone. David had died in prison, 3 months into his sentence. Officially, it was a heart attack. Unofficially, the inheritors didn't like loose ends, and David had become the loosest end of all. Are you okay with that? I asked. With him being dead? Yes. I know that makes me a terrible person, but it makes you human. Maya, he was going to kill us both, and who knows how many other women he would have murdered if he'd lived. The FBI said they arrested 12 other inheritors based on his testimony. 12 that we know of, there could be more. Does that scare you? I considered the question. It should, but honestly, I feel safer now than I have in years. Because of Marcus? Because of a lot of things. Marcus, yes. But also because I know what I'm capable of now. I survived a serial killer, Maya. I think I can handle whatever comes next. Maya smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her since this whole nightmare started. You know what's funny? David always said you were the strong one, like it was a bad thing. Like your strength was something that needed to be broken. And now? Now I realize that your strength is what saved us both. Marcus chose that moment to appear with coffee for all of us, looking ridiculously domestic in his jeans and sweater. It was still weird seeing him out of his FBI consultant mode, but I was getting used to it. "How are my girls doing?" he asked, kissing the top of my head before sitting down. "Your girls are doing fine," I said, though I'm still not used to being claimed by someone. "Get used to it. I waited 35 years to find you, Elena. I'm not letting go now." Maya made a gagging noise. "You two are disgustingly sweet," says the woman who cried when Marcus brought her ice cream last week. "Shut up. Pregnancy hormones." "You're not pregnant anymore, Maya. Post-pregnancy hormones." Marcus laughed, and the sound still did funny things to my chest. "Speaking of hormones, I have news." "Good news or bad news?" I asked. "Depends on your perspective. The FBI wants to offer you a consulting position." I nearly choked on my coffee. "What?" "Apparently, your performance during the David situation impressed some important people. They want you to help design security systems for witnesses in protective custody." "You mean like safe houses?" "I mean like invisible fortresses. Buildings that look normal but are actually impenetrable. It's right up your alley." I stared at him. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. The pay is excellent, the work is meaningful, and you'd be working with me." "With you?" "I'm heading up the new Inheritor Task Force. We're going after the rest of the organization, and we need someone who understands their tactics." Maya looked between us. "So basically, you two are going to become a crime-fighting power couple?" "That's actually not a bad way to put it," Marcus said. "This is insane," I said. 6 months ago, I was designing office buildings and planning a wedding to a serial killer. Now you want me to join the FBI? "I want you to use your talents to save lives," Marcus said seriously. "Elena, you have a gift for seeing how spaces work, how people move through them, how to create environments that protect instead of trap. The FBI could use that. And it would mean working with you, every day, in dangerous situations. Sometimes, against people who want to kill me." "Probably." I looked at Maya, who was watching us with obvious amusement. "What do you think?" "I think 6 months ago you were planning to marry a man who was slowly poisoning you. This seems like an upgrade." "That's a low bar, Maya. Sometimes low bars are good places to start." I turned back to Marcus. "What about the inheritance? Rosa's money?" "What about it? If I marry you, the inheritance doubles and goes into a trust for women's safety organizations. That's $100 million, Marcus." "I know. That doesn't scare you?" "Elena, I've been in love with you since before I knew about the money. The fact that our marriage would help other women just makes me love you more." "Our marriage?" I raised an eyebrow. "That's presumptuous." Marcus pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, and my heart stopped. "Is it?" "Marcus!" "Elena Rodriguez, will you marry me? Not for your inheritance, not to stop a serial killer, not to save anyone's life. Just because I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life making you laugh." I looked at the ring. Simple, elegant, nothing like the gaudy monstrosity David had given me. I looked at Marcus with his honest eyes and his steady hands. I looked at Maya, holding baby Rosa and smiling through tears. "You know," I said slowly, "this is the second marriage proposal I've gotten this year. And the first one was from a serial killer. Not a high bar to clear. Like Maya said, sometimes low bars are good places to start." I took the ring box from his hands. "Yes, Marcus, I'll marry you." Maya cheered, startling baby Rosa, who woke up crying. Marcus kissed me, long and sweet and nothing like the calculated kisses David used to give me. "There's one condition," I said when we broke apart. "Anything. I want to design our wedding dress, from scratch. No hidden cameras, no surveillance equipment, no spy gadgets." "Deal." "And I want to get married in the courthouse, small, simple, honest. Whatever you want. And I want Maya to be my maid of honor." Maya looked up from soothing the baby. "Really?" "Really, we're sisters, Maya. We've been through hell together. I can't imagine getting married without you there." "Even after everything I did?" "Especially after everything you did. You saved my life, Maya. You shot a serial killer to protect me. You're exactly the kind of sister I want standing beside me when I marry the man I love." 6 months later, exactly 1 year after I'd found Maya in my wedding dress, I stood in front of a courthouse in a simple white sundress, holding Marcus's hand. "You look beautiful," he said, and I believed him. "You look nervous." "I am nervous. This is the most important day of my life." "Mine too." Maya stood beside me, holding baby Rosa, who was wearing a tiny pink dress and a confused expression. She was walking now, or trying to, and she kept reaching for the flowers in Maya's bouquet. "Are you ready for this?" Maya asked me. "Ready for what?" "Marriage, the FBI, saving the world." I looked at Marcus, who was watching me with those steady, honest eyes. "I'm ready for all of it." The ceremony was short and sweet. No elaborate vows, no dramatic music, no hidden agendas. Just love, witnessed by the people who mattered most. "By the power vested in me by the state," the judge said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife." Marcus kissed me, and it tasted like forever. Afterwards, we went to the same diner where Marcus had first told me the truth about David. The coffee was still terrible, but the company was perfect. "So," Marcus said, cutting into his wedding cake, which was actually a piece of pie from the diner's dessert case, "what's our first case going to be?" "Our first case?" "Elena Chen, FBI consultant. Has a nice ring to it." "I haven't officially accepted the job yet." "You will." "How can you be so sure?" "Because you're addicted to saving people. It's one of the things I love about you." Maya snorted. "She's always been like that. When we were kids, she once tried to build a fort for all the stray cats in the neighborhood." "Did it work?" Marcus asked. "It worked too well," I said. "We ended up with 37 cats and a very angry landlord." 37 cats? "Elena's designs are very effective," Maya said proudly, "even when she's 8 years old." "Speaking of designs," Marcus said, "I have something for you." He pulled out a manila folder, sliding it across the table. "Wedding present." I opened it to find architectural blueprints for a beautiful house. Modern lines, lots of windows, perfect proportions. "Marcus, what is this?" "It's ours. I bought us a house." "You bought us a house without asking me." "I bought us a house that was designed by you without asking you." I stared at the blueprints. The signature in the corner was mine, but I didn't remember drawing these plans. "Marcus, when did I design this?" "You didn't. Rosa did. She had Mrs. Chen commission them from you last year before she died. She wanted you to have a home that was built for your future, not your past." "Grandma commissioned a house for me?" "She commissioned a house for you and the man you would fall in love with. She was very specific about the requirements." "What requirements?" Marcus smiled. "A large kitchen for feeding strays, a workshop for building things, an office with room for 2 desks, and a nursery." I felt my eyes fill with tears. "A nursery?" "Rosa wanted you to be happy, Elena. She wanted you to have everything David tried to take from you." Maya reached across the table, taking my hand. "She loved you so much. She loved all of us, even you, Maya." "How do you know?" "Because she left you something, too." Marcus pulled out another envelope. "A trust fund for Rosa's education, and a letter." Maya opened the envelope with shaking hands, reading silently. After a moment, she started crying. "What does it say?" I asked. "She says—" Maya wiped her eyes. "She says that second chances are precious gifts and that she's proud of me for choosing love over fear. She wrote that before you made your choice, Maya." "I know, it's like she knew I would do the right thing, even when I didn't know it myself." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, baby Rosa babbling happily in her high chair, Maya and I holding hands across the table, Marcus's arm around my shoulders. "So," Marcus said eventually, "what do you say? Ready to move into our house and start saving the world?" I looked around the table at my strange, wonderful family. My sister, who had betrayed me and then saved me. My niece, who had survived against all odds. My husband, who had loved me before he knew me and married me knowing everything about my past. "You know what?" I said. "I think I am. Even knowing that there are probably more inheritors out there, more dangerous men targeting innocent women. Especially knowing that." "Why?" I picked up baby Rosa, who immediately grabbed a handful of my hair and tried to eat it. Because for the first time in my life, I'm not just building things to last. I'm building things to protect the people I love. And because my grandmother didn't just leave me money and a house and a magic dress, she left me a purpose. Marcus kissed my temple. What purpose is that? Making sure that no other woman ever has to go through what we went through. Making sure that the next time some psychopath tries to destroy a family, he's going to run into a brick wall designed by Elena Chen. Elena Rodriguez Chen, Maya corrected. If you're going to be a hyphenated badass, you might as well do it right. Elena Rodriguez Chen, architect and FBI consultant. I like the sound of that. Good, Marcus said, because I've already ordered your business cards. I stared at him. You're very confident. I'm very in love. There's a difference. Is there? Elena, I've spent the last year watching you turn the worst thing that ever happened to you into the best thing that ever happened to all of us. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Baby Rosa chose that moment to spit up on my dress, and instead of being horrified, I laughed. Really laughed for the first time in months. You know what? I said, wiping baby food off my shoulder. I think this is going to be the best marriage ever. Even better than your first engagement? Marcus, my first fiancé, was a serial killer. My sister slept with him while wearing my wedding dress. And I found out when I discovered a positive pregnancy test and overheard them planning my murder. Fair point. This marriage, I said, looking around at my family, is definitely going to be better. Maya raised her coffee cup. To Elena and Marcus, may your love story be boring compared to your last one. To boring love stories, I agreed, clinking my cup against hers. To boring love stories, Marcus echoed. And as baby Rosa clapped her tiny hands and Maya smiled and Marcus squeezed my hand, I realized that my sister wearing my wedding dress really had been the best thing that ever happened to me. After all, it had led me to this moment, in this diner, with these people, planning a future I never could have imagined. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best beginnings. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who save you in the end. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, your love story starts with a serial killer and ends with a family. My name is Elena Rodriguez Chen. I'm an architect, an FBI consultant, and a woman who survived a serial killer by refusing to give up on the people I love. This is my story, and trust me, it's better than any fairy tale.